What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Life with Indy Mother. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Indy Mother, aka Mama Fabian, and I'd like to welcome you to the Life with Indy Mother family. Woo! If you're new to this channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and join the gang. So guys, I'm gonna be reading for you guys. I just found this book actually when I was cleaning up my wardrobe, and I just wrote literally just one thing in this book. Like, I literally wrote just this entry and that was it. I don't think I ever wrote anything about my experience with Amari until like when I started journaling again. So I think I have a couple of entries of this, but I'm gonna read for you guys what I wrote on this specific day. So here we go. On this day, the 25th of July 2021, I decided to go get my results from that forsaken hospital. Being a Sunday for sure, I knew there wouldn't be as many people, so the process would be quick and easy. Though I definitely knew I wouldn't see the doctor. I just wanted to have the papers being like my results. We got there. I had been told earlier that the results would be collected from the radiology center. So that's where we went directly. Took a token, 5 people ahead of me in line. 10, 20, 40 minutes later, my number gets called and I end up heading to the counter. Explained to her my name, what I wanted. She pressed a couple of buttons and tells me the only results she has are from my ultrasound in 2017. That was definitely Fabian's. She told me to head to the lab section and check there. So that's what I did. I took a ticket again, this time one person ahead of me. He takes like 8 minutes and he was done. So I went to the counter, explained to the man what I wanted, and he asks me for my file number. I give it to him. He types it in the computer and prints 3 papers, staples them, puts them in an envelope. I sat down and took a moment before I opened to check out if I could understand what was written. I just ended up on Google. My baby was fighting an infection that was at its first stage from my understanding. And even though she would have made it, there would have been some type of damage, especially to her delicate brain that was still developing at almost 7 months in. I could just feel that hard throat ball you get once you receive news that makes you want to cry. Such an innocent soul, already faced with the cruelness of this world, even before she got a glimpse of her existence. Would the doctors have been able to detect whether she had an infection? Would there have been a way of knowing how an infected baby in the tummy would behave? Because I do not remember getting any abdominal pains, and if I did, I would put them on the fact that my belly was growing on a daily. Though my stool was not the same as it is now, was that a sign? Was the fainting and hot flashes a sign that something was wrong? I wouldn't know. My plan is to get a full, complete explanation from the doctor and find out the tell signs that one needs to look out for while pregnant. Hopefully, I can help a woman out there to not go through the torment and torture of what if. Then I put a sad face after that. Then I wrote, I feel so sad, I feel confused, I feel angry, I feel like I failed her, I feel lost and stuck. And I wrote that in capital letters and I put it in bold. Don't know if you guys can see. That's how I wrote it. I'm telling you, when I got this entry, I was just like, damn, like I could just feel. First of all, let's just appreciate how my writing skills let me tell you something, I've learned to look at the good in everything, but let's appreciate how my writing skills are so nice. Like, this could actually be a novel, but anyway, like, the way I wrote it, I was just so in my head and I was so in my feelings, and I was just like, why I think I didn't even I was writing this in such a hurry, so I could already I can tell I was writing this in such a hurry because I didn't follow up. I didn't write anything after this. I tried to look through the book and there was nothing else I wrote there. So I feel like I just wrote this so that I can be able to find what is it called? I can be able to find an outlet to be able to communicate my feelings without having to feel that I'm burdening people by constantly talking about the same thing over and over again. Like, just by going through this entry, I can already feel how I felt during that moment. I can already put myself in my own shoes and see, like, damn, like, you really go through it. You really ask yourself a lot of questions. You really you really question yourself, and you question, like, what is it that I missed? What is it that I would have done better? What is it that would have made this experience, or what is it that I would have done to be able to save my baby's life? That those were all the things that were going through my mind at the moment, and I was just looking for solutions, because the thing with grief is, and the thing with loss is, you always try to find that little glimmer of hope, or that little glimmer of, like, just something that you can hold on to that will make you feel okay, somewhat okay about what happened. Like, it's the same way when, how do I'm trying to look for an example, but it's the same way when when kids, for example, like, if they do something wrong, they're always going to look for something to blame, to get the blame off of them, you understand? So it's the same way, like, you look for the smallest glimpse of hope to give you that satisfaction of, okay, this happened because, I was sick. I was battling an infection. I was doing all these things. I went through all these things that made my body not conducive for the growth of my child. So you end up thinking about a lot of things, and you end up feeling like you wish you can turn back time, because you cannot believe that you cannot believe that this happened to you. Like, I can't count the number of times I would wake up in the morning and I would be like, what, like, is this really my life? Like, did this really happen? Like, especially if you've had a child before. It doesn't make it easier if you haven't had a child before. That's not what I'm trying to say, but you've had a child before, you've had an unproblematic pregnancy, and everything went by so good, so great. Like, you didn't even, like, it was one of the best pregnancies of your life, and one of the best experiences of your life, that made you love being a mom, that made you love going through the process of being a mom, which is being pregnant. And then now this happens, and you're just like, why? Like, why now? Why is this happening now? Why is this happening to this specific child? Why did I experience this? What is it that happened in the first time that didn't happen now? Like, you have so much to compare, and it's so horrible, because the more you compare, the more you dig a hole for yourself, and you keep on going deeper and deeper into that hole, because it stops you from accepting, like, it stops you from starting the process of dealing with your grief, because at the end of the day, you're so focused on finding out the why, and even after you find out the why, you're still trying to figure out, like, why is it that why isn't it the other why did it happen like this stuff, like, basically there's so many whys. You can't even begin to process what has happened to you, and because you can't process, you start falling into depression. You start falling into, like, everything is annoying you, everyone is annoying you. Like, you don't want to be around people, you don't want anyone to talk to you, because nobody understands you. You look, people have moved on, ushaanza kuambiwa ati, oh, you're young, you can still have another child, or you're not the first person this has happened to, everything happens for a reason, God does this for a reason, like, yes, it's true, he does this for a reason, but that's not what you want to hear at that specific time. And there's even a point where I wrote in this book, like, my baby was fighting an infection that was at its first stage, from my understanding, and even though she would have made it, then there would have been some type of damage, especially to her delicate brain that was still developing. Like, that was just a way of me trying to cling on to some hope, or cling on to the fact that if my daughter had made it, then probably she wouldn't be 100%, or probably she would have even suffered more if she were born. That's what I was saying. Like, you try and hang on to the smallest thing that would make you feel better, or the smallest thing that would make this experience not as painful. But at the end of the day, you still have to deal with this pain. You still have to deal with this you still have to deal with the loss, and you still have to accept the fact that it actually happened. So your mind at that time is not in the right place. And if I'm speaking to you now and you're going through this experience, I would tell you to feel every feeling that you're feeling right now, no matter what people say, no matter if guys are going on with their life, no matter if, nobody is asking you how you are, or nobody is trying to understand where you're coming from. This experience happened to you. You know how you've felt. You know the bond that you had with your child, and you know yourself better than anybody else knows you. So you are the one who can be able to dictate how you feel, why you feel it, and for how long you're going to feel it. Because grief doesn't have a timeline, loss doesn't have a timeline. You still feel it days after. The only difference is you learn how to manage it, you learn how to cope with it, you learn how to live with it. And that's something that you don't see yourself experiencing at that moment. You understand? Like 2 years ago, you'd just be like, oh my goodness, like, will I ever get out of this? Like, will things actually get better? Like, is it really possible for things to get better? Like, at that moment, you don't see like you're going to get better. You feel like, you know what, this is the end of my world. This is the end of everything that I know that makes me happy. Like, this is the end of my happiness. But in real sense, it's the beginning of you discovering a part of yourself that you never knew existed. It's the beginning of you being able to accept your emotions, being able to be one with your emotions, and being able to realize that things happen, yes, for a reason, but even in that reason, like in that moment, you never see yourself coming out of it. You feel like that is the end of the world, that is the end of Wendy as we know her. And for sure, a part of you is going to die with this experience. A part of you is going to die by going through this, but at the end of the day, there's somebody else who's going to be born at the other side of the road, who's going to be able to accept and just know that you experienced this because you were meant to experience it. You end up learning that you're never in control. You're never in control, by the way. That's the biggest take out I got from that experience. Like, you're never in control. You're a passing being. You're always going to be here to experience things the way they come. You're going to experience loss. You're going to experience happiness. You're going to experience love. You're going to experience heartbreak. All these things, you're going to experience them. And experiences are meant to make you better. They're meant to make you evolve. They're meant to make you become a person that you never thought that you could become. They help you be able to be the person that you were meant to be. And you can't see that in that moment. You'll never see that in that moment. And even a year and a half to pass, you still won't see it, but you'll be able to feel it. You'll be able to feel the difference of how you're able to communicate about, your experience. You'll be able to feel the difference as to how you're able to deal with people, how you're able to look at situations in life. Like, everything is going to be so different, but in a good way. It's not going to be in a bad way. But as long as you deal with the grief, as long as you deal with the loss, as long as you deal with accepting that this happened, as long as you do not blame yourself, because this is not your fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just life. It's the experience of life, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't turn back time. You can't wish it on someone else, because that even makes it worse. Because who wants to, like, I can't even wish that type of pain on my worst enemy. You understand? So I felt so woye when I was reading the last line, because I was like, hopefully I can help a woman out there to not go through the torment and torture of what if. Like, even in my worst moments, I was thinking of, oh my goodness, like, what if somebody else is going through this? Like, how can I be able to also help that other person to not feel how I was feeling in that moment, even when I didn't see like I was going to get through it, but something inside me knew that I was going to get through it. Because for me to write a statement like that in my lowest point, that was like a month, 2 months later. Now that's when I was going through the trenches, guys. I was down, I was gone, I was depressed as hell. So for me to write that in my lowest moment, I feel like is one of the most selfless acts of one of my most selfless acts, because it's actually really surprising. I feel like it's very important to be able to give that kind of support. I feel like I'm very lucky, for lack of a better word, to be able to have this platform to be able to share my experience, because You guys see me here. You guys know what I've gone through. You guys, I've been able to share my experience with you. I've been able to share my story with you. And now I'm sure I'm sharing my story after the fact that all this happened and I'm still here. Does it make me strong? It doesn't make me stronger than the next woman, or it doesn't make me stronger than the next mom who has experienced this. But it makes me an example of, yes, it is actually possible for you to get through it, and get through it the right way, and get through it by going through the emotions, going through the pain, and accepting the pain and becoming one with the pain. That's the only best way I can explain that. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Please interact with them as much as possible. Share it with somebody who you think will benefit from the video, and just share the video to be able to create awareness as to what this type of grief does to you. And I feel like the next episode we can talk about the stages of grief and the stages of loss, because I was able to learn about that when I went to psychology class, and after I did therapy. Like, I was able to gather that type of information that I'm sure will be beneficial to you guys, and not just to moms who have experienced loss, but just generally to everyone, because they experience loss every single day. It doesn't have to be loss of a child. You can lose anything and it will still have an impact on you. So I feel like the next episode we can talk about that. But for now, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to live, love, be anything that you want to be. Bye guys.